Welcome to the Joy and Goal Setting Podcast, where we empower individuals to discover their purpose, achieve their goals, and experience a joyful life through encouraging conversation. I'm your host, Hudson Dodds. Today, we're sitting down with Jenny Fisher. Jenny works in the dementia prevention space. She's a wife, mother, and started her own fitness app, Get Salty with Jenny Fisher. We're going to discuss setting health goals, time management, and finding community as a woman. Jenny, welcome to the show. I'm so happy you're here.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
So something we always ask is where you're from, what you're currently doing, and I'm going to ask you either your favorite place you have surfed or the best wave you can remember you've surfed.
Okay. So I'm originally from Fayetteville, North Carolina. I'm an Army brat. So that's where we kind of stayed most of my life. So I'm a consultant for dementia prevention. I work for a health IT company. So I help physicians get care plans for their patients that are not quite to dementia, but we want to prevent them from getting there. And then I also own a fitness app called Get Salty by Jenny Fisher. So I do that in the times that I'm not working, and then surfing. So the best place I've ever surfed was Costa Rica, in Nosara down there. And as far as the best wave I've ever surfed, there's probably only about 5 of them because I'm not that great, but I love it so much. But yeah, Nosara, Costa Rica would be.
Is Nosara west or east coast?
It's Guanacaste Peninsula, so It's west, yeah.
Nice. I love Costa Rica. Is like
I know.
One of my favorite places in the world.
Oh, and the people are so nice down there.
People,
yeah.
food, surf.
The food is amazing.
So we just went to Hawaii, my family and I, in July, which was awesome.
Yeah.
I don't know, I'll go again. It was extremely hard coming back. I feel like I lost a whole week.
Yes, I've heard that.
And then when I got back, I've been to Costa Rica, I don't know, 5 or 6 times. And I looked at my wife and I said, and she's been too, not together. I said, I think we can do almost all the same things in Costa Rica for a lot less time and a lot less money.
Yeah.
But no, Costa Rica is super cool. Hiking, surfing, all those things.
It's amazing. Yeah, we've been probably about 12 times and we haven't taken our boys yet. I've got 2 little boys, so that'll be a fun trip. But you're right, it's so much cheaper and more accessible than Hawaii, but yeah, I would highly recommend that.
So you have a fitness app. Is that something you always wanted to start? Is it like, how does someone start a fitness app?
That's a great question. When I was in college, my then boyfriend, now husband, talked me into personal training because I had an affinity for fitness and from all of my sports backgrounds and everything like that. And I was pretty personable. So I started doing that in college and I loved it. And then, of course, you graduate college and you have this degree and you have this pressure to actually apply what you learned to a career. So I started in pharmaceutical sales and hung up the personal training and but still always had that love for teaching and helping others and connecting with women and things like that. So when I got to a certain place in my career where I could create my own schedule and things like that, I started filming little 15-minute workouts for my friends that they would ask me about fitness advice and stuff like that. So long story short, I created an Instagram page where I was helping moms, just like little 15-minute workouts. And I got such a big following that then quarantine hit and all the gyms shut down. And I was in a magazine called Strong Fitness Magazine right when quarantine shut us all down. And they said, hey, why don't you come on our Instagram page and teach some classes? And I was like, perfect.
Sure.
And then I realized how much I missed teaching people. And then I had this opportunity to do it virtually. So in my mind, I'm going, well, I can have the best of both worlds. I can work and I could teach virtually. So my husband and I decided to create my own app. And now I reach hundreds of women all over the world. And it's such a blessing.
That's amazing. Do you find that the people that are following you, the people that interact with you, they enjoy that it's women-centric? Do they enjoy that it's short? What do you think is...
What my niche is?
Yeah. Why do you think they're attracted to what you're doing?
I think that it's geared towards busy people that want very athletic and efficient training. So a lot of them are people that are like, I go to the gym and I know fitness, but what I'm doing, I don't feel like it makes sense. And I don't have a lot of time. And mine is very cost effective as well. So I'm basically a personal trainer. I give you high level training at a fraction of the price. So you can build it into your own schedule. You can manipulate it. There's over 500 different sessions. So you can go on there and make it your own, or you can let me guide you through. So my niche has become very busy. A lot of women, I do have men, but a lot of moms that want that efficiency However, my niche has kind of become ex high school and college athletes. Because I think I have a certain way of motivating that comes across very coach-like.
Very
And
similar
so
to how you would have in college.
yeah, and I get that feedback going. I feel like I'm back on a team again. And so that really fills my cup. I wasn't intending for that to happen, but I think that's just my natural personality bringing that out.
So you mentioned team. Do you have, obviously personal training is in a traditional sense is one-on-one and
Yeah.
there's no real team or community aspect. Does your app or do you encourage more of kind of like the team community aspect, or is it mostly just me and you on the phone?
I have developed a community aspect because my app has a way to chat. So a lot of the people go on there and it's great because they get to kind of bitch and complain about things.
Yeah.
They're like, I've got to go and redo last week's sessions because life got to me, or I got sick, or I got hurt, or, my kid got sick and I had to be pulled out of it. And I love that because I am such a realistic person and I want people to be very authentic, especially with your fitness. A lot of fitness influencers get on there and they're like, no excuses, get it
Yeah.
done. You have to have discipline and consistency.
Which is of course true, but also not real.
It's not real for most people.
Yeah.
And so what I do is I'm like, do what you can, try to be as consistent as you can. But the discipline thing, that comes with a consistency and a looking at the why did I start this? Know your motivators, understand your why. So I talk about that stuff a lot. And I'm like, have grace though with yourself when you can't be perfect. If you can get some patience and some grace and consistency, you're going to win. Yeah. As far as fitness goes, that's what I found that works for me. And so that's what I give back to people.
Yeah. From a business standpoint, obviously it makes sense. You want to have community because you have repeat customers. And then from the customer standpoint, what do you think is so attractive about that part of the app? Because I use Apple Fitness. There's no community other than my wife and I doing it and my rings going off kind of thing. But it's more me. I'm self-motivated myself. But from your clients or your following, whatever, what do you think is most attractive to them on that side of the app?
I have gotten a lot of feedback and people feel like, so I call it the Salt Squad. So they call themselves, they're like, we're part of the Salt Squad. And it has created a yearly retreat. So the ones that feel like they actually want to invest in themselves financially to come spend a week with me, it becomes this unifying thing. But it also bleeds out into the community where the people that couldn't come still feel like they're part of that. But it's all about women's empowerment. If you can build her up, you're building yourself up. Or if you can build them up, you're building yourself up. So I think that message goes through and people want to reach out to others and they want to build that community. But to your point, from a business perspective, it's really nice because word of mouth, I don't spend a dime on advertisement. I do it all on Instagram, which is free, Facebook, which is free. And then I encourage people to bring their friends in, bring their family members in and things like that. And that has been my biggest source of growth. So if I can get them involved in this community, first of all, there's accountability. So I know that they are going to succeed with my program. But then there's also this sense of pride and loyalty in wanting to bring their friends in.
So I was talking with my wife this morning about I do an annual golf trip with some guys, and I was trying to encourage her to do annual trip with some girls. And we were talking about how many of her friends and women that are moms of similar age kids feel there's less desire, I think, what she was mentioning, to go on these kinds of trips. The women that are going on these retreats, are they mostly moms who are looking for this kind of opportunity, or are you finding there's fewer moms and mostly people without kids?
They're almost all moms. So the really cool thing about my retreats are I've got moms with special needs kids that are like, I need a weekend to focus on me.
Yeah.
I've got a lot of moms that are starting to go through a divorce where they're like, I need to be around other women that might get this. And the powerful thing about it is it's about fitness and wellness, but it really is about strengthening other women up. And I'm getting emotional because I'm starting to think of the moments that were happening during the retreat, but you feel and I'm Christian, I'm faith-based, and you can feel the presence of that energy in the room when you have all of these women connecting in that way and just dropping their shields down. So to answer your question, I think that because I am so authentic in who I am, I bring a very authentic crowd to me. And I'm not just saying that, that's the feedback that I get. And I think that's one of the gifts that I've been given is I put exactly who I am out there. And sometimes it freaks my husband out because he's like, you share way too much. And I'm like, I know I am an oversharer, but I really want people to understand that you can work hard. You can have a great job. You can raise very balanced children, have a wonderful marriage, have a side career that's very realistic. And your fitness and nutrition, all of those things can come together without killing yourself. But again, you have to have patience, consistency, and grace with yourself and just in life. So that's what's worked for me. And I think that's what attracts women to me is they want to understand that.
Yeah. In terms of goal setting you mentioned, the people are like discipline, you have to show up, all those things. Mm-hmm. And then grace, and we believe in growth mindset. We believe in failure as a way to grow and mm-hmm. be, more the person you want to be.
Absolutely, yeah.
How do you help folks set fitness goals that are both realistic but also healthy? I mean, right now in the health world, the fitness world, there's a lot going on, and there always has been. But you can set really unhealthy goals. So how do you help bridge that gap between wellness mm-hmm. and kind of doing it for the wrong reasons?
Yeah, there's a spectrum of wellness. And I think that the people that are the most successful on Instagram are the ones that are at the big extremes, right? Because people are like, I just take all my money. I want to figure this out kind of thing. I'm done with my life. I want to figure this out. So those extreme programs are the ones that attract the most. And I'm in that balance lane where it's tougher to get people to understand that they're already equipped with the tools. You're already equipped. You already know what you need to do. So I try to educate on that. For example, I taught my mom yesterday about nutrition. She's on the bone broth diet right now. And I'm like, okay. And so I talked her through it and all that stuff. But we got to a place where she's like, oh, that sounds so much easier. And I'm like, imagine that your daughter is a nutrition coach. And okay. But to answer your question, so what I do is, and I have this on my app in a general form so people can kind of build their own goals through that. But if anybody works with me one-on-one, what I try to do is understand how their life is. I want to understand their ultimate goals. So if they want to drop 50 pounds, that's an ultimate goal. What is your goal right now? So I try to use, the SMART goal setting where you're looking at something. What is a very specific goal, but it's short term. So I look at like every 2 to 3 weeks instead of 6 months or 4 months or the wedding that's coming up in 3 months. Let's look at this 2 to 4 week snapshot or something short. What is your goal for that? Maybe we're going to look at losing, if their goal was to lose weight anyways, let's just drop a pound or two every week. So what does that look like? What are the things that we're going to do? So we want it to be measurable. We want to make sure that we can do something actionable. We want it timed down, like I was saying about the 2 weeks. And how often are you going to do it? So it's measured in a time length. How often are you going to do it within that time length? How are you going to measure your metrics with it? And then what is the action you're going to do? So it's not like I hope I lose a pound. How are we going to do that? So your goal might be losing a pound, but we're going to do that by maybe doing 3 HIIT and strength classes every week with 4 short walks during that week. That's what we're going to do. So again, I want to understand their life. So if they're like, well, Jenny, I work all day long, then I have the kids and all that stuff. So we got to figure out where we can fit these things in and how do we adjust. And if that goal is realistic for that person, it might not be realistic and we need to pull it back. So setting realistic goals is probably where you want to start first. But to answer your goal, that's kind of how I approach it.
Yeah, so that aligns with our framework, and what we found often is even the 50 pounds we call it ultimate. Mm-hmm. We try and say, okay, yeah, but what about what's after that even? Mm-hmm. So like what you said, the why, we talk about pursuing purpose.
Absolutely.
And the purpose of losing 50 pounds is really what, mm-hmm. so that you can be what, so that you can be the person you want to be eventually. Yeah. So, like you said, ultimate. I think for us, ultimate is at the end of your life. Mm-hmm. How is that going to feed into who you want to be?
I think that is a great way to put it, because what I am coaching ultimately is and I'm very honest with people, and this is why I don't put before and after pictures up of my clients, is because there's never an after. We want it to be, this is just who I am now. This is who I am.
Yeah, you are an athlete, or you are healthy, or you are right.
Yeah, and it really does go back to the why. Yeah, you might want to lose weight for that wedding in 3 months, but then what's after that? Do you just want to go back? No, we want to create these changes in our life that this is becoming a new you, and it becomes a new you because of that why. You want to lower your blood pressure. You want to be here for your grandkids. You want to have your mental health as strong as possible, stuff like that. So yes,
when you achieve the goal, when you do lose those 30 pounds, it's not okay. Now what? It's like, no, I'm even more excited than I would have been if I didn't have the why, because I know the ultimate goal is still in sight. I'm still moving and pursuing that goal, which is where the joy really is. I mean, of course, when you achieve it, great, but it's as we see the little wins, we experience that continued joy.
And it really is a journey. So one of my sayings is like, if you can enjoy the process more than the results, you know that you have figured it out and you've become an athlete. So with me, I call them athletes. I'm like, you become an athlete when you actually enjoy the process more than the results from the game. And so my story, when I was in my 20s, I'd say before kids, I was a hot mess. So I had a degree in nutrition. I understood biology very well. I understood fitness very well. But I still had this mentality, I've got to be a size 2, or I don't have value, or I'm not pretty, or something like that. So even though I was highly athletic, I could not get control of my nutrition. So I would do these binge diets. I need to lose weight for this. I need to lose weight for this. So it was always, like you're saying, it was always that short term. And I would do it. I would wreck myself to do it, but I would do it. And then afterwards I would binge. It would just go back or worse. Than when I started. So then when I finally just somehow something clicked where I just eased into this, and it was a very gradual thing. And now that I'm at such peace and balance, and I know I have become a new person that is at peace with who I am, and I truly understand my why that I'm doing things. And like you're saying, it becomes a journey. So my journey, I'm in a place where my weight is at a maintenance, my strength is at a maintenance, but I start going, maybe I could sleep better. Let's work on that. And then maybe I can work on, my supplement game. It becomes, what's something now that I can work on?
Yeah. And the way that we describe that is deliberately practicing one thing, like for a quarter, for instance, as opposed to saying, I'm going to sleep better, I'm going to eat better, I'm going to work out more, I'm going to be a nicer parent. We're gonna fail. Maybe do some of those sometimes, but there's no way we can do all those things at once.
Agreed.
But like you said, if you focus on that for a time period and that becomes a habit in who you are, then we can move on. And then we can, and that begins, we talk about spillover, it spills over the rest of your life.
It does. It becomes a positive flywheel with everything. But I love that. Like, take it in baby steps, because that has been my entire journey since I figured it out. And I didn't realize at the beginning of my journey that I was doing that. But I did. I adjusted my portions, and then I started eating more vegetables. But it was over like 3 months or 6 months.
And you look
it was
back
gradual.
like, holy cow, what happened?
It was a stair-step effect. And that has started to bleed over into my career. So I'm finally at a place where my career is amazing, but I'm doing those stair steps with that too, and building.
Well, let's talk about that then. So you're a mom, you're a wife, you own a company.
I do.
And you work a full-time job. So it's a lot.
Yeah, it's a lot. Yeah. It fills my cup totally.
Yeah. So how do you maintain that balance? I know as humans, of course, we fall out of balance at times.
Sure.
So how do you maintain it? And then when do you find yourself saying, oh, I'm out of kilter here? And then how do you get back on track?
So number one is, and I'll give my husband all of the praise on this one. He's really good at communication early on. So when he starts to see something going off tracks, he'll want to talk about it. So because I've been married, so actually on Sunday will be our 23rd anniversary. So
early congratulations.
Yeah, thanks. So because I have been with him for so long, we've grown together. I have become very preemptively communicative. But when I start to see that I am failing in some place and I need to pull back and readjust things, I'm very honest with myself, and I do that. And I honor that stress in my life. I don't ignore it. I used to ignore it, and it would just build and build and build and build, and then I would implode. So now if I'm seeing that, things at home are just overwhelming, I will communicate that to my husband. I'm like, listen, I really need your help on this. And thankfully, I am blessed in this way. Not everybody is. Thankfully, he understands that. And I think it's that he values our marriage so much that he's like, she needs help here. She's asking for it. If she's asking for it, she really needs it.
Yeah.
So he definitely comes in and helps with that. But as far as work goes, so if I feel like I am being completely drained at work, then I will communicate that to my CCO. But I also am blessed with a CCO that knows if Jenny is saying she needs something from me, then she really needs something from me. So I guess when you boil it down, I take care of things, but I think people trust that when I'm asking for help, I truly need help.
Yeah.
I'm never pushing that fire alarm if I don't need you.
Right.
But I also delegate things out. And one of my sayings is I don't do anything. Now, I used to be awful. I used to be a people pleaser and all that, and it would wear me out and draw me thin. But now I only do the things that either fill my cup or fill my pocketbook, like my bank account. So if it's bringing me money, I'm there for it. I will sign up as long as it fits into my life.
Right.
But it has to fill my cup otherwise.
Yeah.
And if it does not fit those two buckets, I'm probably going to say no to you. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Because saying yes means you're saying no to something else. Right?
True. Yeah. You only have so much time. Absolutely.
So with dementia prevention that you're doing,
Yeah.
how does that fit into your fitness values and scope of fitness, or does it?
It does. That's a wonderful question. So I worked for a lab service company and it was fine. I was a natural people pleaser. So I loved the service industry and I loved the sales part of it. However, it was draining. It was draining. It was the best way I could put it. There was nothing that was filling my cup with that. It was just a paycheck. So that lab partnered with a company called UMethod Health out of the Research Triangle Park. And they had these care plans for patients that started to see memory loss. So not dementia, but patients that are headed that way. Yeah. And these care plans were so holistic. They look at over 50 different factors for patients' health. So it could be your blood pressure, your insulin levels, your diet, your lifestyle, all of this stuff. And based on a lab panel, the medication list, and the medical history of that patient, we have a computer algorithm that gives a doctor, a clinician, a full look at this patient's health, and they can guide them through. So medication reconciliation, everything. And I was selling this as a lab rep because we did the labs for it. And I'm like, this is so cool. This totally holistic preventative health. And it gives
Jives with your values.
It was amazing. And so I was so good at helping them sell that they eventually were like, you want to come and in agreement with everybody, I went with UMethod Health. And now I'm just living my dream.
Yeah.
I'm able to do sales. I'm able to do the service part, but I'm able to give doctors this ability to coach patients through their health care. And it's just, it definitely fills my bucket.
That's super cool. Do you find yourself talking to the women on your app about dementia prevention through fitness and wellness, or is that something you keep pretty separate?
I use things like preserving the sexy, which I have some women that train with me that are 70 years old. So, I'm like, I'm 41 right now. My goal is when I'm 70, 80, 90, then I probably won't be able to do handstands and craziness like that. I might, but I want to be able to do as much of this as possible when I'm that age. And I consider that preserving the sexy. What I mean by that is like walking up the stairs without breaking a hip, maybe because I've been working on my core balance. And that to me is aging gracefully. So the whole Botox and everything, and no hate or shade to anybody that does it. I used to, but I got to a point where I'm like, that's not the important things. The important things are what's going on inside of me, not what I look like outward.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I'll bring it up every once in a while. And sometimes I'll talk about sleep on my app. I coach on all kinds of things that are very important, not just the aesthetic of what the results from your training.
Yeah. Do you take any of your clients, or do they, from the app, do they provide you with, hey, it'd be really cool if you did this, or I would really love a class on this? Do you take those kinds of thoughts and incorporate them, or they're more like, I trust you wholly and whatever you're doing, I'm all in?
I'd say a little bit of both. When my app was early, I did get a lot of people going, man, because I didn't have programs at first. It was just, sessions that I'd put up, and I was like, have fun with those. And people were like, man, it'd be really cool if you had like a 30-day program or a 4-week program. And I'm like, I could do that. So then I started creating programs, and that's what we do now. So I use that feedback, and I have others that are like, man, I don't need to lose weight. I'd love to build my strength. So based on that feedback, this program that today was the very last session of this 8-week program where I don't know how I pulled it off, but it became the best program that I did because I was like, listen, if you're a strength track person, I need you to listen to this instruction. If you're a cardio lose weight person, I need you to listen to this. So I was training to 2 different people for one session. And it kind of blended a little bit, but then they'd also have 2 different things they were doing. And the feedback I got was like, this is so much fun.
That's cool.
I love that I can pick up a barbell and do deadlifts. And this person over here is doing a dumbbell sumo deadlift with squat jumps.
Yeah.
So it was very fun. But to answer your question, I do listen to advice. However, I make sure that it makes sense for what I'm doing. I don't just bend to everybody.
Sure,
yeah.
Sure. How do you incorporate, or do you incorporate your lifestyle and fitness and all of that into your children's lives?
The kids, and I don't know if it's because my husband and I are so consistent with fitness and my kids hear and can see me because my studio is basically my dining room that I've converted into a fitness studio. So my kids have full access to me filming every week. And last week, he's 7 tomorrow. My 7-year-old grabbed a 5-pound dumbbell and I was about to go live and he goes behind the camera and he starts working out. And I was like, hey buddy, I'm about to go live. Like, I can't have you there. And he's like, oh, I really wanted to work out. You got your music going. I said, you know what? Go ahead. It's fine.
Do your thing.
Do your thing. And he worked out on his own the entire time. And I was like, come over here and work out in front of the camera. So then he got a little bit in front of the camera and he ended up motivating the people that were watching. But what I've realized is they ask me questions and my husband and I are very informative and educational with them. So we explain to them why it's important to eat their protein, what their protein is doing. They're like, Mom, this has a lot of protein, right? Like I see the fat on it, which is great, but it also has good protein. I'm like, yeah. And protein does what? It builds muscles, it helps repair, all that stuff. And then they also understand what fiber does. So these kids could probably teach a basic nutrition class and dazzle people, the things that they know. So to answer your question, we are very educational. We don't assume that they don't understand. We don't tell them they should eat something. We tell them why it's important to eat something. Yeah. And it really has made a huge impact. The way that we discuss food, they have probably a dessert every night. And I'm fine with that because I'm like, you guys have done all of your sports today. You did all your homework. Like, go ahead. It's not a reward, but if you want a sweet, go ahead. It's not off limits.
Because you've already taken care of your body and you understand all of the things. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I think what's so hard for parents, for me, food is super interesting to me, how it is fuel. It also is our medicine. It's all the things, right? So I've been fascinated by it since I was in high school, but I'm also very cognizant of the fact that kids are sponges. My kids, I have an 8 and 10-year-old.
They are.
And I want to make sure what you're saying is true, which is like they understand the why, they understand the importance, but also it doesn't become all the negative things that eating disorders and not having understanding of, well, I can't have this because it's good. No. Like, let's talk about that. But it's that finding that balance is really tricky.
Yeah.
And it can be paralyzing in some ways where you don't want to do anything, or you go hyper. And then like the in-between is really hard.
Yeah, no food is ever off limits. And we drink alcohol in front of our kids and everything, but I talk about responsible indulgence. I'm like, go ahead, buddy, go get that ice cream, but make sure you put it down when you're full. Like don't eat it just because it's there. You can have some later. It's okay. And I think that they know that because nothing is restricted, it's always going to be available. So my kids never overeat. And it could just be my kids. It could not have anything to do with the way that we're raising them. However, both of my kids do the same thing. They'll go get a snack, but they are not snack heads.
Yeah.
And also our snacks tend to be a little more on the health positive side. But, I think if you have that stuff available and they understand the why, and my biggest thing is we don't talk about food as calories or diet. Like we don't talk about it in that way. We talk about it like you were saying, this is something that's fueling your body. You've got to have the fuel. It's also medicine. If you think about all the stuff that's going in, that's the stuff that's repairing you and all that. So I think when you talk about food in a very positive way, even the sugar, I'm like, that sugar is good, isn't it, buddy? Like that's what's giving you joy. That's cool. I think if you talk about food in a very positive way and explain to them if we don't want to overeat something, explain to them why, like what it's doing internally and things like that. But I've got friends that are like, oh, I don't let my kids have sugar until Saturday or something like that. And that's fine. That works for them. But I just found in my family having zero restriction, but explaining why we eat certain things seems to be working for us.
Well, and it helps them make decisions and learn how to make decisions and see what the decisions, like we talked about, if it's a failure, if I eat too much ice cream, I'm going to feel terrible.
I'm going to feel bad. And my kids have done that. And they absolutely. And they also take some pride in when they do choose foods on their own. They'll tell me, like we went to on vacation and my kid brought back his buffet breakfast. He goes, look, Mom, I've got my protein here. I've got my fiber here. I got my this. I got, like, they were pointing it out. I didn't ask them to. They just were excited to show me what they chose.
Right.
And I'm like, that's awesome. Yeah. And it's really fulfilling for me as a mother knowing that they're getting it.
Well, responsible indulgence is an interesting concept around food, but just in general, as kids grow up and as adults, we think about indulging in things. I mean, that could be anything. I mean, indulging in a hobby, you can do it responsibly, so it doesn't take over your life or hurt your marriage or whatever. So that's a really interesting concept. I like that. I'm going to take that back to my family.
Yeah, I use responsible indulgence a lot because I indulge all the time, and I think that if you don't indulge, you're going to end up being very resentful. And like you're saying, even if it's a hobby, if you love golfing, and, you know, you've got to explain to your wife or husband, like, this is something that really fills my bucket, but I'm going to balance it to make sure it's not impacting us. But you've got to understand that that's something that I need in my life. Yeah. So, yeah, I think that having that responsibleness to it to make sure it's not affecting anything around you, but you're still making sure that's part of you.
So what are your, your personal fitness goals and your, I don't say your work, your app fitness goals? Like, what is your app goals for your business? Yeah.
So my fitness goals, basically, I'm just in maintenance. I'm trying to be able to do this in 5 years and 10 years. I have a lot of people in my life, and I'm sure you have too. Oh, just wait till you have kids. Yeah. It's all going to turn to crap. Oh, just wait until you have a career. Oh, just wait until this. Wait till wait till you're 50. Wait till you're 50. Everything changes when you're 50. So I feel like there are things that I'm just trying to be cognizant about. And now that I am in dementia care, that has now become you can consider that a fitness goal if you want to, because fitness is so involved with that. So we've actually found that obesity in your 30s is actually very correlated to dementia later. And that's not to freak everybody out if you have obesity in your 30s. That's not to freak you out, because that doesn't mean you're going to get dementia. But if you can and that's a big why. Like, okay, why do I want to lose weight? It's not just to get into a smaller size jeans, but maybe when you're 80, 90, that might be something.
Be present with your family.
Yeah. And then the app. So my business, I think I have so many people who are like, why don't you just make that your career? I could. I mean, it makes enough that I could. The problem is that I don't want to be shackled to something like that where now my livelihood depends on that. Sure. I think that the fact that I can do it and not care and not answer to any, it really is such a joy for me. And I have complete autonomy over what's going on. not that he would, but I don't want my husband going, hey, like, can you...
We need to get some more people.
You dropped off this last... I don't want to have to answer to anybody. I just want it to be fun. And so my goal with it is to basically take it year by year. And like I said, as long as it's filling my cup or my bank account, I'm good. This one happens to do both. Yeah. And so as long as I am having a good time with it, I'm going to keep it up. As soon as it feels like it is encroaching on my mental health, I'm probably going to hang it up. Yeah. But I don't have to hang it up because there's over 500 sessions. I could keep it up there and let it do its thing, and like let it just be in perpetuity as a fitness video app. Mm-hmm. So that is my goal with it. And I know that you have a lot of goal setting people watching this right now that are like, I mean, but she has so much potential. I do have a lot of potential with it. It might come to where in a year or two, another company will want to buy me and put a lot of stuff behind me. Maybe I'll reevaluate that. But right now, I'm so thankful for the job that I have, my career that I have, and I'm thankful for this, that I'm able to kind of do what I want right now.
Well, I think it answers the questions that we talk about, which is maybe you could make this your full time, like you said you could, and you could expand it, all those things, but that wouldn't be feeding into your values. We talk about your values, your value statements. It wouldn't be that. It would take away from who you want to be, and therefore it wouldn't be actually moving towards your goal. It would be just to make money, and just to do that, which what I'm hearing is not why you do it.
That's not my goal. My husband and I are very cognizant about our future investments, and we are doing very well with that. So we have a goal of being able to retire when we're, I think 60 is what our track is right now, assuming the investments and stocks and all that do well. But we have that set. So as long as that is tracking right, everything else that we're doing, again, consistency is what we're looking at. And we are very blessed with the fact that he and I are both about balance, mental health, consistency, and things like that than we are about money and bigger, better, keeping up with the Joneses. I'm very thankful that I married a man with the same values in that. But yes, if my goal was to have a house like this on the water, yes, I would be putting everything I could into that. But that's not my goal.
Yeah. You talked about, we've talked about cover kind of like you have a full day, right? And then you also have hobbies. And I think there's so many people that are probably listening and thinking, how in the world can you have hobbies? Can you be a mom? Can you be a wife? Can you own a company and work a job? Like, how is that possible? How do you find time for your hobbies? What does that look like? How do you incorporate or not incorporate your family in that to keep time for yourself?
So my kids both play two different sports. They play football and they do jiu-jitsu, and those are pretty time consuming. So during the week, Monday through Friday basically, and then Saturday football games, that is about work. It's about consistency. And what I mean by that is work, making sure that everything that I need to get done as far as my job is done, and my kids are doing practices, they're doing their homework and all that stuff. But I also find little moments. So fitness is actually a hobby of mine. So I'm blessed in that way. When I'm doing fitness, that is an outlet for me. But I also love to cook. So cooking is no longer a chore for me. That is a break for me. If I need to pause and meditate, things like that, I do that during that week. But then on the weekends, my husband and I do a date night almost every single week. So that's very important to us. We make sure to schedule that in. That is something we do. We get a babysitter. It's all good. We also have found, because he and I have jobs where we can kind of build our own schedule, as long as we are doing our job, we can build our own schedule. So if the waves are great and the hurricane's coming,
You're at the beach.
Yeah, there's like, okay, kids are on the bus at 6:30 a.m., which first of all, that's too early. Anyways, 6:30 a.m., we try to beat the bus out. We go surfing for 2 hours. We come home, we get back to work.
Yeah.
So we find those moments of opportunity. And and then Sunday, yes, I'm building my app and doing all that stuff. But Sunday's also when we'll go to the beach as a family. We'll go to the pool and all of that. I'll be honest with you. I try to maximize every waking moment that I have. I'm not a sit down and watch a TV kind of girl. I am maximizing every single moment. And I know that some people don't have the energy for that, truly. But that's how I do it. And I love it. I love it.
Well, finding the time. I mean, for some people, the sitting down and painting or sitting down and thinking and writing or watching TV, I mean, is just as enjoying as surfing.
Absolutely,
right? So I
yes.
think that it's finding that time and balance is key to our personal joy and our personal success, right?
Yeah, it is. It's very important. If you aren't finding those outlets, you're going to be miserable. And to me, I'm thankful that fitness has become one of those outlets because it is never a chore for me. And that's one of the things that I coach people on is bridging the gap from it checking a box to coming to the mat and going, yes, today I'm performing. Like, this is my performance today. Or this is my meditation, or this is my anxiety reducer, whatever it is. But that's part of what I try to push through on my fitness is let's take the chores out of your day. Let's make sure that what you're doing in your day, again, is either filling your cup or filling your bank account or both.
Yeah. Well, it's been a joy to talk to you today, Jenny.
Yeah, thank you so much. It's been a good conversation. I appreciate it. So I hope that, what I was, putting forward as far as goals and all that stuff makes sense. And I do run at a very high frequency. I understand that. But I think that when you boil it down and you just simplify things and find consistency, I think that everybody can kind of understand that piece of it.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.